Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Panama, to be followed by the national anthem of the United States of America.
Damas y caballeros, les pedimos permanecer de pie para el himno nacional de Panamá y después el himno nacional de los Estados Unidos de América.
Tremendous chemistry built up within the past 3 weeks.
Has created an alliance with
this USA squad. A message from the two team captains.
Competing in the 2013 Kickoff Gold Cup, we appeal to players, young people, and fans across the region to celebrate life and support UN AIDS. Protect the goal. Campaign for zero new HIV infections, zero discrimination, and zero AIDS-related deaths.
It was DeMarcus Beasley of the USA, now Roman Torres for Panama.
Aló. Como capitán de la selección de fútbol panameña que compite en la Copa Oro 2013, hacemos un llamado a los jugadores, a los jóvenes y a los aficionados en todo el continente americano a celebrar la vida y apoyar a la campaña del ONU-SIDA. Nuestras infecciones por el VIH, cero discriminación y cero muerte en relación con el SIDA.
UNAIDS, joint United Nations program to fight HIV/AIDS around the world. Panama very much the underdogs. I don't think they mind being in that position, having that role. The USA have made just one change from the side that beat Honduras in the semi-final. Joe Corona returns to the team to the exclusion of Jose Torres. Landon Donovan has scored 5 goals while setting up 7. Eddie Johnson once again keeps Chris Wondolowski out of the starting lineup. Panama will go with what has become their preferred 11 in this tournament. Ramon Torres anchors a tight defence. Blas Perez and Gabi Torres can be a formidable striking tandem. Torres, like Donovan and Wondolowski, has scored 5 goals in this competition. And the referee is the Salvadoran Joel Aguilar. No linguistic problems between Joel Aguilar and Roman Torres. Marcus Beasley speaks a bit of Spanish as well. Plays his club football in Mexico for Puebla, former Rangers and Manchester City man. Really perfect playing conditions here in Chicago this afternoon. Not particularly hot for the time of year, and lower humidity than you would normally expect.
And also a good pitch to play on. I've seen some of the other pitches, grass has been put on top of artificial surfaces, but this one is a grass field and it should play very well. And this is a man in form. Eddie Johnson can run the channels, he can win balls in the air, and there's Jurgen Klinsmann. Got a bird's eye view up there, but he can't communicate with his bench or the players.
Tab Ramos up there too, former USA international. Now this man has worked wonders with Panama. Julio Cesar Deli Valdez, perhaps the best player ever to play for the Canaleros. Prolific goal scorer, played top-flight football in Italy, France and Spain. And he's really got Panama playing. He's got them all working for each other. The Panamanian huddle, and we are just about ready to go. Landon Donovan, the man Panama will have to stop, and they know it. Jaime Pinedo has had a fine tournament between the posts for Panama. So, from 12 countries at the start, we are down to 2. The USA are favourites, but they dare not underestimate Panama. The Canaleros have contributed mightily to the success of the 2013 CONCACAF Gold Cup. USA in blue and white today, attacking the goal to our right in the first half.
I think it's fair to say we've got the best 2 teams in the tournament playing in the final. It's not always the case. Panama have been excellent throughout, and the USA have got better and better as the tournament's worn on.
Clarence Goodson, one of the central defenders, playing in MLS for the San Jose Earthquakes after stints in European football in Norway and in Denmark. Beckerman will have an important role to play again. You're sitting in front of the defence, Stuart.
He certainly will, because Holden likes to run forward. It looks as though Bedoya is going to be out on the right-hand side and Corona on the left. Something that Valdez would just have to have a close look at.
Eddie Johnson leading the line. Scored just 14 seconds after coming on against El Salvador last weekend in the quarter-final. Forced his way into the side. Once again, Chris Wondolowski, the 30-year-old, is the unlucky player. 5 goals to his name here at the Gold Cup. But can't get into the team. Cruel world.
Certainly is. And just looking at the Panama side, looks as though Quintero is going to play out on the left-hand side and Sanchez on the right. It was the other way around in the previous game. Quintero and Rodriguez certainly have a good understanding down this left-hand side.
Well, all he can do is watch from on high, Jurgen Klinsmann. unable to do any coaching because of his expulsion right at the end of the semi-final meeting with Honduras in Dallas. Goodson. There's Matt Beasler, who's become a regular in central defence for the USA. So Marcus Beasley at left back. And away by Lionel Paris. Joe Corona in the side. Perhaps a bit of a surprise, Stuart.
Yeah, certainly out on that left-hand side. Torres has played well throughout the tournament, particularly in the last game.
There's Beckerman. A few people have forgotten about Kyle Beckerman before this tournament. He's strolled through quite a few of the matches. And down has gone Alberto Quintero. Michael Parkhurst attending to him.
He could never win the ball there, Parkhurst. Quintero knew exactly what he was doing here, just waiting for the little nudge in the back. That could be a good battle, Quintero against Parkhurst on this near side. Good pace, Quintero. So Parkhurst is a brilliant 1v1 defender. He's got good positional sense.
Michael Parkhurst of Augsburg in Germany. Eddie Johnson, free kick. And he can be a real handful for opposing defenders. Blas Perez is one of the strikers for Panama. He links up pretty well with Gabi Torres. Landon Donovan. Good movement there. Stuart Holden, born in Aberdeen, moved to Texas at a young age. He did think briefly about representing Scotland. The invitation was there. Spent his formative years in this country. And Paris trying to get rid of it. Will be a free kick.
Yeah, pass to him was just slightly under hit. Beasley went flying forward. You think he might get an interception here. Doesn't actually make a tackle. Paris' follow-through hits Beasley. That's where referees get it wrong at times. Nothing wrong with what Beasley did.
Panama, the winners of their group. A section that most people expected Mexico would dominate. Didn't work out that way. So the ball had gone out. So Corona on the far side. Appeals from the Panamanian players. Here's Holden. Beckerman. Beasler back to Nick Rimando, who back in 1991, the very first Gold Cup, was a ball boy. I was talking about that the other day. Rimando now 34 years of age. Normally the third choice for the USA. Winning his 12th cap today. Beasley. Now Beasler.
Good pressure from Panama in midfield. Forcing the United States to go back with their passing. Now the two centre forwards are doing a bit of pressing as well.
And they will do that, won't they? Perez and Torres. We will expect to get a bit of help from Quintero, making those runs on the left. Parkhurst hobbling.
Just held up in what is quite a strong wind at the moment. Just nudging it out of play, just gets his ankle trodden up. Could be a key battle in the game.
Carlos Rodriguez with the throw. Not quite what he had planned. 0-0, 6 minutes gone in Chicago.
He's had a lot of the ball already, Beckerman. Just in that role in front of the centre halves. I don't think he'll be too disappointed with the start. There's some of the coaching staff. Casey Keller in the middle of those. Former Leicester, Millwall, Tottenham, United States goalkeeper.
He's on assignment, Casey Keller, as goalkeeping coach for this tournament. He was in goal. It's going back to the 2005 final against Panama, went to penalties, to a 0-0 draw.
Once again, good pressure from Panama. Might need the United States just to go that little bit longer and get it into their front player, Eddie Johnson. They do like the big diagonal out to Bedoya on the right-hand side. Haven't seen it so far.
Perez competing for it. Gabriel Gomez winning his 90th cap for Panama. Used to play his club football for the Philadelphia Union in Major League Soccer. Marcos Sanchez, the wide midfield player. Excellent idea. Perez was hovering inside the box. Panama have the capacity to pose problems for United USA defence that has looked a little bit soft at times throughout this competition.
Good closing down. Sanchez won the ball back, then took on Beasley. Got the cross into the box. Beasley does well. He wins himself a free kick as Corona goes into the back of him. Intelligent player, Sanchez. He'll come in off that right-hand side at times. Want to give width when needed.
Gabriel Torres to take it. Scorer of 5 goals here at the Gold Cup. Wonderful ball by Gabi Torres. It's Gomez. And the USA looking stretched. Flicked away by Parkhurst.
Oh, Torres was coming round the back. The United States tried to play offside here. It's a good run. Now he's got to pick out the right pass. You'll see that number 7 Perez went to the near post. And the centre half was coming round the back. Poor defending by United States to start with, but good play from Parkhurst at the end of it.
Gabi Torres. Eddie Johnson was back there. It was hit by Sanchez. Couldn't direct it on the target.
A bit of a fracas between Gomez and Beckerman. Big battle in that midfield area. Gomez and Godoy against Beckerman and Holden.
It's an encouraging start for Panama.
See again, this time United States have to go long. This is where they need Eddie Johnson to win the ball.
Gabriel Gomez. So 12 different clubs in the past decade. Doesn't stay anywhere for very long. The most in 3 years in Portugal with Belenenses. Johnson trying to find the ball. Bedoya for the USA. Here's Beasley. Joe Corona, who plays club football in Mexico for Club Tijuana. Referee just getting in the way of Beasley just then. Perez couldn't hang on to it. And it was Stuart Holden who let fly for the United States.
He did let fly, but there was a good run from Eddie Johnson. Eddie Johnson was screaming for the ball. They won it back high up the field. And you see Perez losing out to Holden. Watch Eddie Johnson just come into your picture there. He was making a little diagonal run.
An intriguing opening. Soldier Field in Chicago is the venue for the final of the CONCACAF Gold Cup. USA against Panama. Great to have you with us here on ESPN. Panama have only beaten the USA once before. It was by 2-1 in Tampa. 2011 Gold Cup. Beasley letting it bounce. Run through to Rimando. Beasley from the back. Holden showing for it. Stuart Holden of Bolton, ended last season on loan at Sheffield Wednesday. Not too much on it for Michael Parkhurst.
Well, he had those couple of really good seasons, didn't he, at Bolton? Stuart Holden, before he had that injury. Just haven't got their passing range going, the two centre-halves so far, Goodson and Beasler.
Beckerman snapping onto it. Johnson trying to hold it up. Beckerman again. Beasley. Kyle Beckerman of Real Salt Lake. Then win MLS Cup back in 2009. Beautifully done by Johnson. It's Holden. Goal kick.
Well, we saw that in the semi-final. Ball's rolled in to the front players, flick round the corner, Holden racing onto it, didn't quite pick out the right pass. A shake of the head from Jurgen Klinsmann.
Well, he has the utmost faith in Martin Vasquez, Andreas Herzog and Casey Keller. Jaime Penedo was in the Panama side that took the USA to penalties in the 2005 final. A big day for Corona. Only his 10th international appearance. Scored a couple of goals at this tournament against Cuba, against El Salvador. Well, the nerves might be jangling.
He may just have to go a little bit longer, the goalkeeper, Rimando. If the team wants to press you high up the field, there must be space elsewhere. The wide players push on and they get the ball forward that little bit quicker. Panama will then drop off, then they can play it from the back. Well, they're playing into Panama's hands at times.
Rimando. So doesn't get much of a look in normally at international level. Joined MLS back in 2000. Actually played for the Miami Fusion, now defunct. Landon Donovan has been a marked man, but he hasn't let that bother him at the CONCACAF Gold Cup. It's a big part of the story going in, that he had decided for a few months to stay away from the national team. Self-imposed sabbatical. You can certainly make a strong case that Donovan is the most gifted player ever to have pulled on the USA shirt. Holden.
He's certainly had a good tournament, hasn't he, Donovan? Scoring goals, creating opportunities for others. He's been able to get in the game in this first 15 minutes.
There's Beckerman. Parkhurst. He developed the New England Revolution in MLS under Steve Nicol and Paul Mariner. Manager and assistant manager there respectively when Parkhurst was with the Massachusetts club. Eddie Johnson, and he draws a crowd. There's Beckerman following the pass by Beasley. Johnson. 4 American players inside the box, just as that was developing. Oh, and a mix-up, and Donovan something to profit. Well, they got away with that, Panama.
Well, the centre-half heads it into the other centre-half there, I think. Chen heads it into Torres, and it falls really nicely for Donovan, but he wasn't aware Quintero was right on his shoulder.
Roberto Chen is a 19-year-old deputising at this tournament for Felipe Baloy. Harris together with Beckerman. Here it comes from Donovan. And away by Pineda. Landon Donovan once more. Parkhurst. Quintero who got it away initially. Here he is again, all-action player. Alberto Quintero. It's quite the run. Referee waving play on, now blows his whistle. And the free kick decision goes Panama's way.
There's the pace of Quintero up against Parkhurst. Reading far too easily. He was looking to switch it out to that far side. Let's hope this isn't a problem for Stuart Holden. Enough injury worries over the last... just a clash of knees there. Shouldn't be too bad, just a bruise. What a good run from the number 19, Quintero. Maybe more than just a little bruise.
He's been such an unlucky player, Stuart Holden. Doesn't need another injury.
Doesn't look good. It wasn't the actual knock, was it?
He was trying to keep Quintero in check, Stuart Holden. So Holden off the pitch. And the whistle had gone. Well in advance, Blas Perez. He thought he had done little wrong. He's still concerned.
Just trying to pull off the back of the centre-half. Goodson defends it well, Goodson. There's a little shove in the back. Well, it's a big shove in the back in the end. But Goodson still won the header. Excellent defending from the big centre-half.
Corona had it nicked away.
He's just come into the centre of midfield while Holden's off. Donovan's gone out to that left-hand side. So they're just playing with Johnson up front by himself at the moment.
To Marcus Beasley. Kyle Beckerman. Clarence Goodson helping the ball on its way to Michael Parkhurst. Glorious afternoon on the shores of Lake Michigan. And there's going to be a change, I think. Stuart Holden flat on his back. It's a very sad sight. And Nick Diskerud will come on. Diskerud, Norwegian-born, qualifies for the USA through his Arizona-born mother.
It will be a straight swap. Diskerud played in one or two of the earlier games in that midfield role. Stuart Holden came in for him. That's a real worry for Stuart Holden.
Beckerman. Johnson. Bedoya was the player who took the tumble.
He's had the influence he's had in previous games, Eddie Johnson. It's amazing when the sub's never ready to come on, isn't it?
Plenty of warning. Well, Stuart Holden can hardly believe it. One injury after another. And based on the reaction, it doesn't look good, Stuart.
Yeah, just the test they were doing on his knee would worry me. But let's hope that it's not too bad an injury. Yes, it doesn't look good, but... certainly had a good semi-final, racing forward from midfield. He's already had one shot here. Wish him well.
Second that. Johnson probing. Bedoya was waiting inside the box. Alejandro Bedoya, who had a spell in Scotland with Rangers.
A largely unsuccessful spell, wasn't it?
Yes, he didn't feature very often. Seemed to be injured most of the time. Anibal Godoy for Panama. The player who strayed that time was Rodriguez.
Well, that's the first time we've seen Rodriguez get forward. He did that brilliantly. One or two of the other games, working alongside Quintero, had gone in field.
So the Aberdonian is replaced by the Norwegian, Mix Diskerud. So recently we wondered if he was going to commit to Norway, his country of birth and upbringing. Diskerud of Rosenborg. He certainly could have done with him last week in the Europa League qualifier. Full marks to St Johnstone for having the wherewithal to knock them out. Well, at least Holden is walking. He's bitterly disappointed, Jurgen Klinsmann, naming Stuart Holden in his starting 11. But he will take no further part in this game.
It wouldn't take you long to get a Scottish win in somewhere along the line.
Well, we've got to mention them when they occur, Stuart. Here's Bedoya. Beckerman. Not too many threats posed by the USA front men so far. That's a tribute to Panama and their defensive resilience. It's one of the strengths of the Panamanian team.
Well, they've looked very well organised. They've looked athletic. When they've pressed the ball high up the field, they've quite often won it back. When they've dropped that little bit deep, it doesn't look as though there's any space for the United States to break them down. It's been a good first 24 minutes or so. Panama. Beasley can't see that big diagonal that he plays so often. Has played throughout the tournament. Here it comes.
So he's not afraid of it. Carlos Rodriguez, 23-year-old defender, spent last season in the USA's MLS with FC Dallas. Parkhurst with the throw. Johnson. He's been well shackled so far. Jeffrey Webb, president of CONCACAF. His seat in the middle of the Tribune of Honour.
He's certainly put in some miles, hasn't he? He's been at most of the games that we've covered.
Anibal Godoy is not a glamorous player, but he does a lot of very important work in the Panamanian midfield. Godoy, the challenge by Bedoya, illegal in nature, quickly taken, so trying to catch the USA on the hop. Nothing comes of it.
Well, it was a good idea, wasn't it? As a wide player, Sanchez had made that little diagonal run. Godoy tried to pick him out. It's a strong midfield, Gomez and Godoy.
The width provided by Alejandro Bedoya. Trying to feed it in, no one there to attack the ball. And young Roberto Chen called upon for Panama.
I think his first touch just let him down here when it's played. He allows Rodriguez to get a little bit too tight to him, so he can't play it in the air to the players at the far post. He tries to whip it into the near post area.
Landon Donovan to take it for the United States. They are very much a counter-attacking team, Panama. Superb work by Gabi Torres. Quintero was looking to help him. Well, he's got them organised, Julio Cesar Deli Valdez. Tough nut to crack.
got a lot of attributes, haven't they? They're physically very strong, a good understanding. They've got a bit of trickery out in the wide areas, the movement of Sanchez, diagonal runs, the front two try and link up with each other. As you said, it's their organisation, their ability to defend well all around the field that's got them here, causing USA one or two problems.
There's Paris for Panama. He wanted it played to him. No space afforded Quintero. Not a bad ball. Gabi Torres at the end of that move. Doesn't look too happy with life.
Good run from the front player, Gabi Torres, trying to get to that near post area.
He's tweaked something.
Quintero giving whip there on the left-hand side, just whipping the ball into the 6-yard box. Looks like this isn't another injury that's going to result in a substitution. Watch the movement here. He's had to make a lot of ground up. There's the switch of play. Then he sees the space in between the two defenders. Can't quite see what was wrong. Decent cross. Actually hits him on his thigh, inner thigh. Not sure that would cause too many problems.
Well, something clearly went twang. Panama relied very heavily on Gabi Torres earlier in the competition. In his 40th national team game. Here's Quintero. Parkhurst goes at right back with Goodson and Beasler, the central defenders for the USA. Long, slow walk being made by Torres as we speak. Here's Johnson for the United States. Corona. And his first start in the 6-0 win against Guatemala just prior to the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Joe Corona. There's quite a bit of switching of midfield personnel throughout this tournament by Jurgen Klinsmann. He's had to change things again here in Chicago today with Holden going off. Niskerud coming on. Holden going off out of necessity.
There hasn't been that fluency about the United States that we've seen in the last couple of games. Credit to Panama. Easy to play through. And when the switch of plays happen, the fullbacks have been in good positions to cope with it. See the wide players forcing them back inside into the centre halves. They know exactly what they're trying to do here, Panama, when USA have got the ball. Delay, delay.
Haven't really got going, the USA in this match, up against a stuffy Panama side. Godoy. Now Corona. Slip was by Gabriel Gomez for Panama.
I don't think he was offside had that ball got through. A good attempt with the outside of his right boot from Sanchez.
Here's Eddie Johnson, looking to make the connection with Landon Donovan. A very robust defender, Roman Torres back there. He's linked with Blackpool and Swansea a couple of years ago. Gabriel Torres back with us. Goodson, the covering defender for the USA. Still 0-0. 13 minutes to go to half-time in Chicago.
So he's going to beat him for pace there, Torres. Running down the side. The United States trying to press high up the field on that occasion. Fullbacks were pushed in. A bit of space down the side of Goodson.
And the shot is wild. Wayward and Godoy. Sanchez. Now Paris. Corona trying to stay with him. Not the best of balls from Lionel Paris, but it peters out.
Did well to go fast past the challenge. He just didn't get any whip on the cross. So it's getting a little bit windy here.
It is the windy city, Stuart.
Possession very much in the United States' favour at the moment, very heavily, but not too much with it. Hasn't been in the right sort of areas, hasn't been in that top third of the field.
Beckerman. A decent idea. Marcos Sanchez. And a loan spell until recently at DC United. And MLS. Beasley sticking to his task. As they call Chicago the Windy City. Also referred to as the City of the Big Shoulders. The famous Carl Sandburg poem. The USA looking for a bit of momentum. Bedoya. And the deflection could have made it difficult for Pinedo. Corner.
Well, first time we've seen Bedoya really come in field. And that in the last game. Coming off the right-hand side, finding a bit of space. Allowing the centre forward to run out into the space that he's just vacated.
Interesting defensive setup from Panama. Taken by Donovan for the USA. Well, who can latch onto it here? No one for the US. Blas Perez back there as the extra defender again. Well-travelled footballer. Played professionally in Uruguay, Colombia, Mexico, United Arab Emirates. And now here in the USA for FC Dallas.
So saving the best till last. Hasn't been able to influence the game on the ball, Godoy. He's done a good defensive job. Seen him in previous games, running the game with his left foot, linking up with the fullback, Rodriguez and Quintero.
There's Paris. Beasley doing his best to winkle possession away from Lionel Paris. He's become rejuvenated, you just feel. DeMarcus Beasley. There's a left back. I'll tell you what, 36 minutes gone. Excellent effort by Panama so far. They've neutralised the USA in so many areas.
Well, they started the game off by pressing the two centre forwards up against the two centre halves of USA. Midfield pushed on, the wide players got good positions to stop the ball being played out easily to the fullbacks. And I think the USA played into their hands by keep playing out from the back, almost inviting this sort of pressure. USA just need to get the ball in behind Panama, or certainly get it in towards the front players and get players in support. And then that may just buy them a bit more time in the back areas to pick their passes out a bit better as Panama drop off.
Panama currently 5th in the so-called CONCACAF hexagonal qualification for the World Cup finals. Need to get into the top 3 to qualify automatically. The 4th place side will face New Zealand in a 2-legged playoff. Panama by no means out of the running. 6 points from 6 games. Johnson dropping deeper in a bid to collect the ball. Beckerman. Goodson. He's lost his concentration for a second or two. Kyle Beckerman. Quintero. And the challenge came in from Parkhurst to begin with.
Herzog just coming to the side of the pitch as we look at Beckerman. Perez. Haven't seen eye to eye throughout the game here. Goes down fairly easily, Beckerman. But Herzog came to the side of the pitch and just wanted a few more runs out of Donovan and Eddie Johnson.
Perez, after all was said and done, the miscreant. Blank score sheet in Chicago. And very few chances to speak of, really. Defences have been on top. Parkhurst. And Corona isn't going to get away with that.
Well, here's a clash of heads. He's got every right to go for it. Big diagonal. Corona was always going to be second best. He jumps in. The arm comes out from both players. Corona just catches Paris, but no intent.
Well, Panama have acquitted themselves so well here at the CONCACAF Gold Cup. USA with Martin Vasquez, Andreas Herzog, Casey Keller trying to come up with the answers, trying to find a way to break through.
There's the challenge. I'm sure Casey won't be short of a word or two at half-time. Experienced player, Herzog and Vasquez, both good coaches. They've got to come up with the answers.
Parkhurst away. Haven't seen much of Diskerud. Came on earlier for the stricken Stuart Holden. And the referee wants a word with Julio Cesar Deli Valdez. Overly demonstrative. That resolves with a thumbs up.
He's unhappy with one or two of the decisions that have gone against his team.
Eddie Johnson. Diskerud, he was impeded.
Good turn from Diskerud up against Godoy. Wasn't an easy take for him. Just rolled the midfield player. He pinched down his feet there because he'd been in behind, now attacking the back four. One or two options.
Referee using the magic spray. It's approved of by CONCACAF, making sure they're back to 10 yards. And after a few seconds, the spray will miraculously disappear. The line, and it comes here to Beasler, who lets fly. And Panama survive. Now Quintero, Landon Donovan, who thought he had got the ball. Little display of dissent from Donovan.
It was wrong all round, wasn't it? Donovan displaying some dissent, as you said, and Quintero putting his hand up as if it should be a booking. Here's the chance. Wasn't an easy chance. Just skews his shot. Comes off the inside of his boot. Had to take it quickly. Beasler. Quintero on the counter-attack. Oh, actually, it wasn't a foul. Donovan did really well recovering.
Just over the head of Blas Perez. 3 minutes left for play in the first half. It's the CONCACAF Gold Cup final. And no scoring between the USA and Panama.
Well, in terms of the spectacle, it's been a bit of a disappointment, really. USA been outstanding in the last couple of games with their movement. When the ball comes into the front players, their combination play, the movement of their wide players coming infield at times and getting shots away and then going wide and getting crosses into the box. It's been some really good performances from USA. It hasn't been so here. I think that's mainly down to Panama. They've defended well all around the field. They've got a good understanding of what the coach wants from defensively. They just need to have a bit of creativity to their game, and they really would be causing a problem or two.
Oh, Bedoya getting the better of Rodriguez. Bedoya short. Now, Panama managed to shuffle it away. Was Paris' last line of defence.
And there was that big ball for Bedoya. That's what he did so well in the last game, making something out of nothing. Just couldn't quite be shot away with any sort of power. Took a deflection.
Mix Discaroon. That's going to be a free kick to Panama in favour of Roberto Chen. Bedoya can't believe it.
Paris takes it away from his own goalkeeper here. Bedoya coming in field. Yeah, totally hits it. And commits the foul. Bedoya. Chen going down very easily.
19th international appearance for Alejandro Bedoya. Blas Perez. Goodson's header for the USA. Here's Godoy for Panama. Calm figure in midfield. Roman Torres favours the direct approach. Easily trying to get there for the USA. Sanchez making sure it went out. Perez with an inquiry there from Gavi Torres.
Goodson had no intent on playing the ball, did he? Got too tight to Torres. A little flick on from Perez off that long throw.
Bedoya. Eddie Johnson, Alejandro Bedoya will have a minimum of 1 added minute at the end of this first half in Chicago. And Donovan taken away by Gabriel Gomez. Free kick to Panama. It's Gavi Torres who hit the grass. They've been wasteful with the free kick. Bedoya.
Well, there's certainly some intensity, isn't there, about the game now? As there has been right from the opening whistle. I guess we haven't seen goal-mouth action. We've seen a lot of endeavour. We've seen a lot of work rate, a lot of good organisation from Panama.
No two ways about it. Panama will be the happier of the two sides, and Jurgen Klinsmann won't be able to address his players during the half-time interval. Landon Donovan has cut an anonymous figure up to this point. He's had little to say for himself. And Panama defending stoutly and, on 1 or 2 occasions, able to trouble the USA back four. Panama very much the underdogs in this final in Chicago, and interestingly the USA players making their way off, Panama staying on the pitch and having their own little team talk before Julio Cesar Deli Valdez can add to that. Nick Rimando, it must be said, hasn't really been troubled the real story, very few chances, and the USA without the injured Stuart Holden now. 0-0 is the score at the interval.